Hello everybody and welcome to another walkthrough of the text guides with my buddies Matthew and RJ. How are you doing, guys?
Pretty good, man. Thanks for having me back, Mr. Tommy and RJ. It's really an honor to be hanging out with you guys today.
I feel the same. Thank you once again for having me on, Tommy, and it's been nothing but awesomeness having you on board with us, Matthew. How you doing, Tommy? You staying healthy over there?
Yes, we do. All these craziness going on in the world. I will have to say that, I'm pretty lucky. I will have to say that I had two lovely kids to be able to put my focus on. And, it's sad to see people competing on who is the stupidest person in the world, to be honest. But in the end, we're not going to talk. We're not going to talk about that, obviously. But it's hard to not mention it, at least. So, guys, Extreme Hills Tournament is coming up. We have a mix of the Greenberg Slopes, or however that is pronounced, and the Eagle Peak. And obviously, for those of you watching, we're gonna cover all the divisions. Matthew is going to cover Rookie, RJ is going to cover Pro and Expert, and then I'm going to cover Master. So we're gonna take one T per person. So I'm gonna do our best to give you all the type of information that you might need before the tournament starts. But also, if you watch this when the tournament has started, it's gonna be some highly valuable information as well. Before we go to hole number one, don't forget to subscribe to all of our channels. You can find links to them all in the description down below. And also you see basically on the screen here, see it's RJTV with a YouTube search, Erelic Gaming for a YouTube search. And then obviously if my channel, Golf Clash Tommy, you can find it also on YouTube, obviously. This video will be up on most of our channel, like not most, but on our channels and also on my website, golfclashtommy.com. Guys, before I'm gonna have us talk about hole number one, what do we see the qualifying round score to be?
Lower than last time. I mean, like higher, or you know what I mean. More difficult. More difficult. I think this course is going to have less drops than last time, but more of a focus on albatrosses.
Yeah, I still don't know the difference between an extreme hill and a mountain.
I was born in the mountains.
Okay, so you were not born on an extreme hill.
No, it's a friggin' mountain, the Rocky Mountains.
Okay. Do you know what an extreme hill is compared to a mountain versus
a big lump, kind of lumpy?
Okay, but okay. I don't know what the scores are going to be, because last time I mentioned the scores, we ended up getting you said it's harder. So last time I seen it took about a -34. So I'm going to say, since it seems a lot harder, -33.
Interesting. Yeah, just talking by 30, we're gonna see most likely a score around 34, 35 as normal, it seems like, in Master nowadays. But I think all the par 4s are very, very good eagle chances. I might be alone in that thought, to be honest, but hole 1 is one of my favorite par 4s there is in the game, with the funnel in the back end. But we're gonna talk about that, obviously.
And hole 5 is like a guarantee.
Yeah, exactly. Tailwind there, we can go for green. But, we're not gonna give away the information here in the start. But, okay, everyone, let's freaking go. Hole number 1. So, hole number 1, we start off with a par 4 off the Eagle Peak. And Matthew, how do we play hole 1 from front tee?
I think hole 1, it's a lot of fun. Depending on your appetite for risk, skill level, and clubs, you can play this hole so many different ways. I do believe that most rookie players will probably tend to choose the white line, since it's the most straightforward route and the most obvious way to play the hole. And the front tee is the most likely division to kind of have a favorable tailwind on this kind of hole. Take a power 3 ball, such as a Titan, an extra mile with maximum topspin, maximum overpower at 20% downhill. And then a long iron, such as a Backbone or Saturn, right to the pin, do that second shot at 10% downhill, couple bars of backspin, no big deal. Also, interestingly, I feel that the black line is really my favorite way to play this hole in rookie. Use a quarterback, or you could use an extra mile, of course, and the same Titan ball. Maybe a katana, 20% downhill to the adjustment there. You're going to basically bounce at that first black square, and with with maximum topspin, maximum left spin, and you're going to aim your ball guide between the large gap in the trees. And the plan is basically to have your second bounce, clip the rough, and roll out to the fairway, close to where you'll see the third black box, maybe a little bit to the left of that. But anyways, just to mind that you'll be clear from the trees, and you're going to have a nice second shot at 10% downhill with a long iron, such as a Backbone or the Saturn. The Saturn, I think, is a great choice here because of the way the green slopes from the back to the front, and you can use that backspin. You're basically your first bounce with the long iron is going to be at the fourth black square, and then up to the hole. There is a little rough bump there if you're feeling frisky and you have a Goliath club. I don't recommend it for most rookie players, but yeah, there's a lot of ways to play this hole. RJ, what's your favorite route here from the second tee?
Well, I'm definitely feeling frisky, so I'm going to go, again, 20%. I'm going to go with either the rock or the quarterback, depending on what type of wind we have. And I'm actually going to go uphill a little bit. Even though it's a downhill drive, it appears to be looking uphill towards those two bunkers, kind of on the leftish side. The ball will roll backwards, but I think that's kind of cool because it should generally stop around the same point each time, giving you excellent yardage notes. And then, so you don't have to go right up against those bunkers. You just, try to get close. Both clubs I mentioned have excellent ball guides. And then we also have a 10% sniper shot that gives us a funnel that's going to go beyond the hole, and we're going to actually try to drop it from the back side of the hole. I believe somewhere around full backspin is what you'll need. Keep an eye out for updated text guides, from these guys, because depending on the wind, there could be a tweak here or there, but there is a funnel. If you don't have a sniper that would have enough backspin, you can always take a lower level Guardian, and forego, unfortunately, the Eagle, but go for the birdie there. And that's how I have the most efficient way of playing hole one. What you got, Tommy?
Yeah, I have the same way. Besides one thing is that we're not going to play with the rock or the quarterback from the third tee because we're not going to have the distance. Sure, maybe with a straight tailwind or something like that. But my play here is going to be one or two ways. Both of them are going to be focused on catching the funnel on the back end of the green. But as there is a general thought in Master that it is extremely difficult to hit perfect on a wood club compared to if you're playing expert, pro, or rookie. In the end, I don't know if that's just something that is in our minds, but that is something that is frequently talked about in the chats for Master Division and stuff like that. So, blue line, we go straight down by the bunkers, as RJ explained from second tee, that's not going to change. And then from there, we do have a sniper shot towards the pin where we're going to use 5 bars of backspin in general. In headwind, might a little bit less. But 5 bars of backspin, aim for like the slight downhill on the fairway just before the fringe. But the most important part is that we do see the ball guideline to the hole, and we do see the funnel by wiggle a little bit left and right to see that the ball guideline is stuck inside the hole. The other way to go and catch the funnel is to actually go up against the bunkers, but go a bit more aggressive by using a little curl to the left and also a lot of side spin to the left to roll down more left to then have a long iron towards the pin instead. Using a B52 or a Grizzly with a good ball guideline, and then also maximize the possibility of hitting a perfect shot. Because even though you might hit perfect with a wood club many of the times, but in in a long, if you're gonna take all the shots that we've been taking with a long iron and a wood club, I can bet that you have been hitting more perfect shots with a long iron than a wood club, and that's why that version of the funnel is, in my opinion, better. But that version is very wind dependable. The sniper version is not, and you can play with whatever type of wind, and yardage notes will be super duper solid. Again, this is one of my favorite par 4s, and if I'm not getting an eagle here going to hole number 2, then I'm gonna be super disappointed. 20% over adjustment for the drive, 10% for the second shot, and let's get that freaking eagle. Hole number 2, ladies and gentlemen, it's the first par 3 of the Eagle Peak. How do we play it from front tee?
I like to play this hole here with the Katana ball, with the side spin 3 especially. So, of course, a Kingmaker, if you can afford one, would be helpful. That allows me to set it up far enough away from that little middle bunker, the rough on the right there, where the first or the only black square is, to safeguard against any possible great ball. So we're going to go ahead and use 0 to 2 bars of topspin with that maximum right spin to aim your ball guide to the pin. But I like to go just slightly left because of the lower level ball guide here. Depending on the wind, of course, if we have a left to right, that idea works well. If it's right to left, you're going to want to adjust accordingly. Make sure that adjustment is, in fact, for 10% downhill with the Goliath club, or maybe a backbone, or your favorite long iron, as you choose. There is a rough bump that's available here. That's that little patch just to the left of that white square. I don't recommend it. There's a reason it's not in the guide. It's really risky, except for all but the very most confident players. So, I'm going to stick with the black box here. Mr. RJ, I like these hole-in-ones, my friend. Can you show me the way to a drop?
Sure. I actually have something interesting here. Also 10% with a Goliath and a Katana, just like you. Full right spin, 1 back spin. Set yourself up at the +4 mark right before the middle bunker. At the top right, you're going to have your red ring on the rough of that same bunker. Now, if you want, you could do something called a ball switch here if you want to knock down the wind a little bit and throw a Kingmaker in, but leave your target exactly where it is and then adjust for the wind. And then that way you'll have less wind to adjust for, giving you a little bit more accurate shot. And then ignore everything I just said. If we do have a headwind, I would play with a sniper and a power 1 or power 0 ball. Once again, you could go with a navigator, or you could go with a well, you can't go with the navigator, but yeah, I would definitely go with a power 1 wind 5 ball that has decent side spin. What you got, Tommy?
Yes, from hole number 3. From the third tee, we're gonna play with either the sniper or we're gonna play with a driver. If we do have a wind that is, I would say, a more direct tailwind on this one in some sort, or like a left to right type of wind, it would make more sense to play black line, bounce with the sniper over towards the pin using a 10% over adjustment, and we're gonna play maximum distance numbers. If we do have let's say a headwind in some sort, I would recommend you to play on white line using a quarterback, or more or less a rocket if you do have that one available. And I'm thinking about rocket level 10, because the way we have been playing the last 2 tournaments, we have had a southwest wind, and then playing with a max backspin rocket has been working beautifully in terms of getting either close or getting the ball in the hole, obviously with a wind 5 ball. And that's what I recommend everyone that is playing Master Division to play with, some wind 5 balls, especially on the par 3s, because that's what all us guide makers are doing, or at least most of us, and that's going to give you the best possible result in the end. Tough par 3 to get consistency on though, but on hole-in-one is definitely possible. Hole number 3, ladies and gentlemen, and we get our first par 5. And now we go over to the Greenberg slopes. And Matthew, how do we play hole 3 from front tee?
I think this tournament is cool in the fact that each of the par 5s is basically a legitimate opportunity for an albatross. Whether you play to the left or to the right here on hole number 3, it doesn't make a massive difference in my mind. I choose a Titan ball here, though, at all times, and my driver preference would be the extra mile, or maybe even a big topper if you have one in a decent level. Each different drive here, left or right, is played at 10% downhill with maximum topspin. If you play left, you use maximum left spin. If you play right, you play maximum right spin. Both these shots both of the second shots are played at 30% downhill elevation, and a sniper or a Viper would, if that's all you've got. You're going to go with 3 to 4 bars of backspin, and there is a chance on the right side you might find yourself in a long iron range, which can be nice, of course. In that case, I would probably like to bring a Goliath with me just to be sure I can reach it. Mr. RJ, do you want to pick sides here?
Yeah, actually, I kind of like the left side. I go 10%. with a distance driver, whatever your main distance driver is. Usually that'll have a decent amount of topspin on it. Bring a Kingmaker with you, full topspin, full left spin, and then you want your red ring near the top left rough when you take this shot. And then, that'll ensure that you stay on the fairway. Like you said, 30% elevation change. I like the sniper to the pin with no spin. And I didn't mean to make that rhyme, but that is my initial thing that I would like to say. We may end up tweaking it a little depending on the wind. You might need one backspin. You might, I don't know if you might need one top spin or not, but just as a starting point before we know the winds, I like the sniper to the pin, no spin. If you have a lower level sniper and you're not, lower level clubs in pro, you can also go with the Horizon since we're using so little spin. But that's what I got for hole 3. What do you got, Tommy?
Yes, I think the wind here from 30 is going to be the one that decides which way we're gonna do. I think that the right side will be the more common one, as from the right side we do have a possibility to play a rough bump, we do have a possibility to go directly at pin for the second shot. But in the end, if the wind is a strong crosswind coming right to left, it would make more sense to play left, as the wind would help us then to push our ball more left. But, I can't really decide here which way I'm gonna go because I don't really know yet. And, both of the ways are a possibility, and the second shot from both routes is going to be tough. It's gonna be 30% over adjustment, and it's gonna be like a medium or a maximum distance wood club in many of the cases. I would recommend here to play with a wind ball if you have the possibility, at least a wind 4, as playing with such a high elevation combined with, let's say you play with a wind 3 ball like a Kingmaker, and you play with wind that is 10.5 up to 12.6 miles per hour, that's going to be a much more difficult shot than you play down with a wind range between 7 to 10 if you play with a wind 5 or a wind 4 ball, for an example. I'm not going to rule out the Albatross here, but I do think that this hole is going to take some time to dial in. So I'm not expecting anything in the start, but I do expect myself to have a good shot once coming to the weekend round. Hole number 4, ladies and gentlemen, and another par 3. This time, not the Eagle Peak, but the Greenberg Slope. So Matthew, how do we play this one from front tee?
So I like to play hole number 4 with a sniper here, if you've got it, or a Viper. Typically, I choose a Navigator here, or a Kingmaker, if you can afford it, for that added wind resistance. Add 1 to 3 bars of backspin, 4 bars of left spin. You're going to set it up here with the red ring near the rough on the left. Basically adjust your shot then for 20% downhill. Once again, there is a rough bump here that's available. It's really inconsistent. I don't recommend it for most rookie players. Check it out if that's your thing, but otherwise, I'm definitely going to be going over here with the wood club, bouncing over with the wood club. Mr. RJ, what's your preferred path to triumph on hole number 4?
I like the sniper, and like you said, with a Navigator would be the lowest ball I would recommend, all the way up to a wind 5, depending on what your stock is, and if you're in pro or expert, 20%, 1 to 2 top spin, 2 left spin, set up under the sand, blue ring by the rough, hit perfect.
That's how we should do it. Boom.
Right, yeah, hit perfect.
Yeah. I think, we obviously don't talk about that much, but obviously it's super important to always hit perfect, or like we're never going to always hit it, but, at least try to. 30, there is a rough bump, like very close to the end of the rough, and that rough bump will be explored if the wind is right. If the wind coming left to right, it won't be that explored because we are adjusting from a lower to a higher point. But if there is a wind coming like a tiny bit the northeast or something like that, or it's more or less like a southeast headwind or something like that, then that would be a possibility. Unfortunately, I don't have a line for that because it's so extremely wind dependent, in my opinion. Sure, you're always with that thin rough, risking with a bad shot or a bad adjustment to miss the rough, and then you will most likely danger the birdie even. But we're gonna bounce on the fairway before the rough and the sand, which will be the more common route. Wind 5 ball I would strongly recommend, as this ball will be affected a lot by the wind. Not like as, the reason it's going to be affected more, in my opinion, than on other par 3s is because there is such a long way to the green. Like, we have the first bounce very short on the fairway as we're gonna go by the first black box, and then the ball is gonna bounce and it's gonna bounce and it's gonna roll, and all those type of things is going to have an effect when it's up in the air. So the wind is going to not just push the normal amount, it's going to continue to push and push and push, which means like we might have to change elevation and add more to the elevation if we do in the end have a strong crosswind or something like that we need to adapt for. But wind 5 ball is, in my opinion, a must here to get any sort of consistency to get an a birdie, but being close to making a hole-in-one. I don't expect much here, but you know, a hole-in-one will be a possibility here as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, we come to hole 5, par 4 of the Eagle Peak. Matthew, how do we play hole 5 from front tee?
You know, this one in rookie, I definitely would recommend we're going to play by the black line. I would like to choose the extra mile and a katana ball or a kingmaker if you've got one. Use maximum topspin, 4+ bars of left spin, you know, according to the wind. 0% is the elevation on this drive, and you might need to use a little bit of left curl. Be careful with that. This is a bit of a tricky drive, so just be cautious to avoid those trees in the middle of the fairway. And for the second shot here, it's going to be up near that second black box. Adjust for 30% downhill elevation and play it with your favorite short iron, such as the Thorn. It is possible to use a Zerk here, max overpower to make it down that hill. However, this is a very risky play. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for the average rookie player. You can tune in to watch me try if you'd like, but I'm probably going to try to play it safe. RJ, what's the chance you'll be blasting it to the green?
I thought you were going to ask what the chance of me tuning in is. Like 100%. Let's see. It's a 0% elevation shot. If you have an apocalypse, the best way to go about it, in my opinion. And although there are other ways to do it without the apocalypse, like I believe it can be done with an extra mile or something, but I've never tried it that way. So if you have an apocalypse, I would say level 4 would probably be, please correct me if I'm wrong, right about where you'd want to be at minimum. I got full right spin, berserker, 3 back spin. Obviously, if you have the Apoc 4, just use what you have for back spin. At max distance, place your target over the red trees, not while you're stretching it out, but while you're literally at max distance. Kind of gives you a reference point, and then make your adjustment there. Make sure you push back up to max if it's a tailwind. That's the only way we're going to be taking this shot. On the left of the fairway, full overpower, full right. I got full right curl. I got full right spin written down twice, and we're going for perfect. This is not a power hook, power slice, whatever it's called. This is we're just using all that curl, and we're going to try to ride a nice tailwind, assuming that the Golf Clash gods get us that. Just in case they don't give us that, there is the black line. With that, I would be using, your normal power driver, and just like the black line shows, you're going to want to line up kind of close to the left rough there with a side spin 3 ball, and just try to get past those trees. I'm not talking about the set of trees in the middle of the fairway, but try to go even a little further up still, so you don't have the trees at, I guess we'd call it, at the bottom of the hill in your way. And then you'll have a 30%, I believe, about a short iron shot there. 30% is quite a bit. This would probably turn this into a birdie hole, but it could definitely be an it's hole 5, not par 5. This would definitely be an eagle hole if we can drive the green, in my opinion. What do you got, Tommy?
Yes, tailwind, we go for green. Crosswind or headwind, we do not. Pretty simple, in my opinion. And the reason I kind of label it like that is because we're gonna be from 30. If we're gonna be in a position to try to go for green, we need to have the wind in our back. If we do have a crosswind, sure, we could try with a power, like a driver like Apocalypse 7 or 8 or Thor Hammer 7 or 8, to use the topspin and be lucky to roll down the hill. But sometimes we're gonna get stuck in the rough and sometimes not, and I'm not gonna gamble with those type of things, like especially when I can't hit perfect from the rough at any, very, very few times at least. So, if we do have a tailwind, we go with a berserker ball or we go with a snow globe. And we're going to use max right and a couple of bars of backspin depending on wind strength. And then we're going to go close to full right curl. We're going to bounce it up, bounce it on fairway over the rough and then be on the back of the green to fall down to be semi-close around the pin. For going back end of the green to fall back, it's not going to be a hole-in-one because the ball is never going to have the speed enough to get down towards the pin. If we lay up, we go by the left side, trying to roll past the trees. I would say that's going to be super important. Then we have a short iron, as already explained, with a 30% over adjustment. So if we can go for green, a must eagle. If we cannot go for green, I will say that we're gonna see very, very few eagles on this hole. Then the general score will most likely be a birdie. And I think with a headwind here in Master, I think we're gonna see a lot of pars as well, because then the drive is gonna be super difficult. Hole number 6, ladies and gentlemen. We have a par 5 of the Eagle Peak. Yes, Matthew, how do we play it from front tee?
You know, I've almost always played this hole from the front tee via the white line. I use a big topper, power 3 ball, or a Zerk most of the time, with maximum topspin at 0% elevation on the drive. And then the approach to the green, I'm adjusting here for 10% downhill. And my typical preference is to use a wood club with 4+ bars of topspin and play the rough bump on the third white square. However, many rookie players will not have a high enough level sniper or viper to pull this off. And then I would say to play safely to the green for an eagle by bouncing it in front of the green, and or even with a longer distance club such as the big dog, just to get it up there and secure that eagle. You know, you can definitely play the black line as well. You know, you're going to do a funny little like side of the rough bump onto the fairway. So, you know, there's 3 black boxes there. The bottom one that's on the fairway, the second one that's on the rough. You're going to aim for that second one on the rough, and that's going to be a 10% downhill shot to basically bump it out onto the fairway where the third black box is. And then you're going to play that approach with 0% elevation up to the green with like as much topspin as you can get it. That green is large. It has a lot of room for error on it, and you're going to bounce it off that last black box up to the green. You know, you're definitely going to look at the wind on this hole. Any kind of headwind, I'm going to say we have to go to the black line. Otherwise, I prefer the white one. Mr. RJ, how will you lead us to that always important Alba chance?
Well, I do like the fact that we got back-to-back 0 elevation holes on the drive, at least. Let's see. I would go with whatever power driver gives you the most top spin and use all of it. Once you make your adjustment, you know, depending on the wind, of course, push back up to max and let her rip. And then your second shot is going to be a 10% shot. For experts, I would say a sniper should be something that you should be okay with. For pro, you might need to use a big dog, or heck, you know, depending on the wind, you might need a CAD club as well. I would go with the rough bump with full left spin. Now, if you are having troubles with distance on this, you may need a power 4 or power 5 ball. Another option, which I do believe you'll probably need a power 4 or power 5 ball with this, could be a Guardian as well with full backspin. Well, you might not even need the full backspin with a green that big. So a couple options. One option I have is for the drive, and then there's a couple different club options there for your approach shot. What do you got, Tommy?
Yes, from 30, I'm actually looking into the right side more and more now, and the reason for that is because the last tournament we played this hole, we played right side, lay up with the rock, and then we played a sniper that was actually rolling past the pin. I remember we actually aimed for the pin, for the ball guideline to go like massively hot towards the pin, but the plan was to miss on, I think it was left side if I'm not mistaken, and then for the ball to roll back towards the pin again. That route was very interesting, and I have never shot so many albatrosses in this hole as when I played that type of shot. But it was kind of wind dependent, because if you don't have a Cataclysm level 8, or like 7, then you don't really have any decent ball guideline with the Cataclysm, which means like in a headwind type of situation, right side is going to be too tough. But if we do have like a crosswind, tailwind or something like that, then I would definitely explore right side. Otherwise we have the, you know, the standard way, the white line there, where we use all the topspin we can and use the driver with the most possible topspin, and then try to get the ball to bounce on the fairway, then roll as far as possible. It could be X Mile 9, Thor's Hammer of 6+, a POC 5+, depending on what club you're having. And then you will find yourself for a rough bump or a guardian shot towards the green, going again on the back and then fall back down. And then I'm gonna choose the rough bump with a sniper, as I feel more comfortable with that. I would say here that the power 4 ball would be valuable here. Power 5 ball maybe as well, if we do have a crosswind combined with just a little bit of tailwind. Now I'm thinking more or less left hand side. Right hand side could actually go well with actually a wind 5 ball even, but still stick with a power 3. So interesting hole. I used to really dislike this hole because I just used to really dislike it because I guess it wasn't really a favorite. But now, where we do have a couple of albatrosses in our bag, it's definitely going to be a hole that I look forward to dig into and then crush it. Hole number 7, ladies and gentlemen, the last of the part 3s. Matthew, how do we play hole 7 from front tee?
You know, I think this one can be a real pain in the, you know what, it's I would choose the backbone here for his ball guide and accuracy. As well, I would pick a navigator to play due to its wind resistance, but you could also get away with a Marlin if you choose. I always recommend the best wind resistance as well on any of these par 3s. I like to keep it simple, follow the white line, and depending on the wind, we might need to play a bar of topspin into a headwind or a bar of backspin with some tailwind. 10% downhill elevation here. You're probably going to use all of your right spin on a navigator ball. If you go with something like a Kingmaker, basically, you know, play the top or backspin according to the wind and then get your ball guide to the hole. There is a rough bump. Some people are going to play here. It's not for me in rookie. I definitely will look at it in pro, though. I'm curious, Mr. RJ, how should we approach this one from the second tee?
Actually, in my notes, I don't have a rough bump either. I got a 10% sniper, like 9+ with full top spin, full right spin, actually rough bump. Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. I would use a Kingmaker there, both for the distance and the side spin. You know, and the power's not a bad thing. I don't know how much it really matters. Ball guide to pin in headwind only. If we do have a tailwind, you might be able to get away with, you know, like a sniper 8, maybe even a sniper 7. I'm not sure. However, I also provide an alternate route because of that, because we're also doing pro here. And that would be a 20% with a Grizzly or a B52. If you don't have either of those, you know, leveled up as high as your Goliath, you could do that with the left pad with 2 top spin, 3 right spin with your ball guide to the pin. What you got going on there, Tommy?
Yeah, I don't know really. To be honest, it's like this one I remember from when we played this one in Master the last time. And again, we have only played this one time only from 30. Then we played actually from the bottom left or like bottom centered fairway, the one where it hasn't have a line. But that shot was so inconsistent, because the struggle with this hole here is that we are often going to adjust either from a lower to a higher point or a higher to a lower point, which all is going to have an effect, which means that we're going to get close, but it's going to be very difficult to get any consistency. I do feel that there is a rough bump here in Master if the wind allows to, but it needs to be somewhat left to right type of wind, otherwise the wind is going to most likely be too strong and we're not going to be able to adjust it properly, or it's going to be too risky and we would be risking too much. Sure, there is a way which is going to most likely be looked into to use like the Rocket or the Thor's Hammer using backspin and go behind the pin for the ball to roll back. And I do think those two options will be the first ones I'm going to look at, but I'm not ruling out a normal bounce up option on any of the 2 fairways that we do have below. And I wish I could have give you all more about this hole, but this is a very tough par 3, and based on experience, there isn't really any shot there that is dialed in enough for me to just pinpoint a specific shot. Elevation wise, we're gonna play 20% over adjustment from 30, and we're gonna use a wind 5 ball would be my strong recommendation. Hole number 8, ladies and gentlemen, and we're coming very close to the end here, and we have the final par 4. How do we play from front tee, Matthew?
You know, I would say in this tournament that hole 8, it's my favorite prospect for the chance at an extra drop, and quite possibly in rookie, especially here, a must eagle if we're going to have a serious chance at contending for a banner. I've always played this one very successfully at 10% downhill on the drive, according to the black line. I choose an extra mile and a katana ball with 4 to 5 bars of topspin, 4 to 5 bars of right spin. You might need a little bit of curl, just slightly, depending on the wind here. You're going to play it right along that block line, right down the middle of the fairway. And that second shot, we're going to play it at 10% uphill with a thorn, 3 bars of backspin, aim it directly at the pin. I have probably one of the highest success rates personally on this hole, getting this eagle. What do you think? I say we should get this one dialed in early, right, RJ?
Oh, it would definitely be nice. Anytime you get one dialed in and you're dropping, even if it's power 3, power 4, getting the albatross, it always feels great. I actually have, the way I play is 20%. As they say, elevation is up to interpretation based on where you do your setups in a lot of cases. But distance club, bounce over and land on bounce over and have your second bounce on the second fairway on the left side of the rough patches with full top spin and a full right spin with a katana or better ball. And then for your second shot, once again, the elevation is the opposite direction, 10%. I got a short iron with about 4 backspin right to the pin. What you got going on, Tommy?
Yeah, this one needs to be an eagle if we do have a crosswind or a tailwind. I would also stretch it to if we do have a little headwind as well. If we do have a straight headwind, just to cover that directly, we cannot really reach over to the point, to the place that we want. And then I would really recommend that we do in some sort layup according to the white line. But that would be with a straight headwind, and yeah, as a worst case scenario. But in basically any other type of wind, we're gonna play a black line bounce and focus on having our ball guideline in between the rough on the left and the rough patch that's in the center of the fairway, and we're trying to get into the same distance all the time. This is a linear hole, and we're gonna play according to yardage notes, which means that the drive that you're gonna make here is going to be super important on how to then adjust the second shot. And the second shot is going to be with a short iron. I personally go with a thorn, as you all know, but there is obviously a possibility to go with both Falcon and Hornet, or whatever short iron that do have a couple of bars of backspin, because we're gonna use approximately 2 to 4 bars of backspin depending on how far we are going. And just to mention that with the drive, topspin wise, we're not gonna use full topspin in tailwind. We're gonna use approximately 5 to 6 bars, just so we're not rolling too far and going into an in-between club situation, or that we roll into the rough, because that's actually a possibility. We can go for green with a more direct tailwind as well, but I would not recommend that in a consistency-based structure as we're playing with, because going for the green, you're gonna be in the rough or into the sand more times than you will be on the green or close to the green. But sure, if you can never seem to hit perfect with your short iron, what do you have to lose, really? So it's kind of up to you, but I would say in general, we lay up, take the eagle, and go to hole 9 with great confidence. Hole number 9, the final hole in the tournament, also a par 5 as usual. So, Matthew, how do we play hole 9 from front tee?
I look at hole 9 as a very realistic chance at an albatross here. I play per the black line. I choose my extra mile and a Titan ball with maximum topspin, 3 to 5 bars of left spin. Now I'm adjusting for 10% downhill on this drive. The idea here is to play to the top left part of the fairway to set ourselves up for a nice angle to the hole. If you are too far right on your drive, you do run the risk of not being able to, approach the green very nicely, and then you'll have to play it a little more conservatively. I'm going to add 3 bars of backspin, as much right spin as necessary to get that ball guide to the hole with the red ring set up on the right rough, just where that third black box is. If I had to pick a par 5 as my best chance of an Alba drop, to me, this one would be it. RJ, what's your prospect of a drop on this hole?
Actually, I'm taking notes from what you just said, because you got the albatross coming all the time, and so yeah, basically what Matthew said. So Tommy, what do you know? Just I got a 10% extra mile type club. If you got a Apocalypse or whatever, you could use that as well. Titan, full top spin, full left spin, left side, push up to max distance, and let it sail. When I say push up to max distance, I did not say overpower. Don't hear what I'm not saying. No, but second shot, 5%, sniper or viper. If your sniper doesn't have the 4 back spin, and we're going to be going right around min to pin at wow, sniper or viper, 4 back spin minimum is what I meant to say. I can't read my own notes. What's wrong with my hand? Well, try writing with this. To pin max distance on the drop on the second approach. What do you got, Tommy?
We got there eventually. We 30. It's either going to be black line, and I would say black line if it's going to be in any form of tailwind or a little tailwind and crosswind. But as soon as we get with a flat crosswind or like a headwind in any form, we're going to play white line, because I made a mistake the last time in this tournament with my guide here in Master, was that I recommend only the left side, and I didn't take into account those players playing with Apocalypse level 5 or 6, because it was basically purely an Apocalypse level 7 plus or Thor's Hammer 7 plus route. And that's why I wanted to mention that white line is definitely there for if you in somewhat have lower level clubs, or if we do not have any tailwind to help us out. If we do left side, we go up, we have a sniper towards the pin. There's nothing strange with that. It's already been explained by the beautiful boys here on the screen with me. Or right side, it's going to be a possible rough bump, actually a pretty big rough to play on, and then it's a cataclysm that we're gonna do that. So when I'm listening to the both type of ways of approaching this type of pin, it's not that I'm thrilled about any of it, but there is absolutely a possibility for an albatross on this hole. But don't count with it, and you should hopefully have got plenty of drops already before you come to hole 9/18. I played 10% over adjustment for the drive, even though the guide says 5. That's a typo for the drive. And then second shot, we play 5% here on hole 9. Okay, everyone, there we have it. We do have the walkthrough. Yeah, a little longer one than we usually do, but there was plenty of good stuff to talk about. And in the end, I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you had your pen and paper ready, took some notes. Otherwise, obviously, you can always pause and rewind and do whatever you like to get the notes. But in the end, we are here to help. If you have any questions, let us know in the comment section below. And also, if you want to get the best guides on the market, you go to patreon.com/golf-tommy. Link also in the description down below. But I want to hear what Matthew and RJ, and we're going to start with Matthew. What do you think will be the winning score? Now, winning score in rookie.
I think it's going to be, now that we've gone through this whole, walkthrough here, I think it's going to be a little bit lower than I predicted in the beginning. There are a lot of opportunities here. I do think we're going to see a lot of rookie players shooting -30 or better. A few very, very early rookie brackets, you might get away with the 29, but I think you're going to have to bring your A game here if you want to take home the gold.
Interesting. RJ, do you have the same feeling, or what? Where do you were up to like a 33 or something like that in the beginning? So what is your feeling now afterwards?
Sheesh. I guess I'll tweak it a little bit. Let's go with the -42 to take gold. if you hit the -42, I think you can rest easy. You might get banned, but I honestly don't know. I don't know if we're gonna get the tailwind we're looking for on certain shots, or so I'm going to stick with the number that I have. It was very interesting hearing you guys talk. We don't get together before making this text guide, so hearing different approaches and stuff. I'm definitely gonna, watch your guys' content and make a few tweaks as we go. And hopefully it's, what, a lot of people complain, including myself. Hey, I'm tired of having these really high scores. But you know what? When we have these high scores, aka low scores, a lot of times it's fun. How fun is it to drive the green, with a power curl or something like that? So no complaints coming from me. High scores, low scores. I just hope I get the drops everyone else is getting.
RJ, I love your hat. I just want to interrupt you, Tommy. I just want to tell you, RJ, I love it, buddy. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's Canada. We have 2 people from Canada here and 1 from Sweden. So it's like representing big time.
I'm only 1 lake away.
Master, I'm not going to change. I will stick with the 34-35 to win. I think that's kind of what it is in Master nowadays. And, as you said, RJ, sure, we are pretty used with low scores. I would love to see a 28-29 to win a tournament, but that doesn't really exist. The players are better. It takes more to win, and that's why, if you win a tournament, you should be a bit more proud than I would say would be if you would have won a tournament 1.5 to 2 years ago. Not saying that winning a tournament back then was bad, it's just a different game, and now it's in the end down to if you can get the correct notes and you get to correct tweaks and then hit perfect. And, for those, focusing on always just to replicate and just copy that shot, it doesn't really work like that. Then everyone would have had the same score all the time, and that's not going to happen. So, do your homework and you will do well in this master. But once again, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Get these general text guides on the website golfclashtommy.com or through the link directly in the description and down below. Thank you guys for doing this with me this weekend again for the Extreme Hills tournament, and we will be back whenever there is a next one. Right?
Wait. No.
Okay.
I got a question. I really hope that the people in the watching this video will enter in the chat below. What is the difference between an extreme hill and a mild mountain? Please let me know in the comments below.
Okay, we're gonna leave you all with that. Bye guys, and have a beautiful day and good luck in the tournament.